Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome back to My Custom Life. My name is Trey, and today we're going to be doing should be 3, but the first video I wasn't able to film part 2 of the Santoku paring knife. Now today we're going to be working on the bevels. We got it shaped out, we got the spine work done, we're going to be shaping out the bevels, getting the plunge lines nice and even, and today I'm going to be using my filing jig. I talked about it in my last video, and or in one of my other knife videos where I was talking about this knife, and then I made a separate video about the filing jig specifically. Now I'm going to be using this today to finish my bevels up. What I'm going to do is, at first, I'm going to clamp the knife down, and what I do is, and you can do this as well, is I rough in the bevel, mark it out, and then scribe your line wherever you want the bevel to be, and then I rough it out with a flap disc. Take off most material that much faster, and then try not to get too carried away to where you go outside of where you want to do it. That way you can finish up with a file and make it look clean, make it look pretty. So what I'm going to do first is clamp in my filing jig, have a nice stable workplace. Okay, that's good. And then this is the setup that I use. There's a piece of rebar with a file. I still can't remember what the heck the name of that thing is. Anyway, file attached to it with this mysterious clamp I cannot remember the name of. Anyway, what you do is, I'm going to go ahead and, when I use my flap disc and then start on the filing, I'm going to put this bolt, so I'll just put it up here now, this eye bolt up here at the very first hole. That's gonna give me the steepest plunge line, and then I'll just move it back after that. That way I get the initial bevel started. Well, maybe. Is that the right one? Yeah, it's the right one. Hang on, I need to take this tape off. I don't need it anymore. Maybe it's not the right one. Okay, not the first hole. A decent ways up, about 4 or 5 inches up, so it's definitely going to be a steep bevel, and I'll making sure it's as high as possible so it gives it the steepest incline, so it'll start the edge very quickly. Now, like I've always said in my other videos, with the grinding process, it picks up really loud on the camera, so I'm going to go ahead and do this off camera, and all it is just simple shaping in the bevel, kind of getting it started, taking off the most material, because filing the bevel in is going to take some time. It's not easy. It takes a while. It takes some effort. It's not hard. It's not like you're going to be exhausted afterwards, but it does take some time. So I'm going to rough these in, and then I'll show you what it looks like after I rough them in, and then from there I'll go ahead and start the filing process, and then kind of show you what it looks like, and then kind of pause the video, come in and out as the knife progresses, and hopefully today we'll be able to get both of these bevels roughed in and completely shaped. So then we can start the wet sanding or the sanding process, and then go into wet sanding afterwards to really put a nice satin finish on it. So for this knife, because it's a Santoku style paring knife, I'm not going to be too cautious about it, because I'm going to take the bevel all the way up to the spine. Santoku knives were known for having thinner blades to be able to slice a lot easier, and because this is not going to be hollow ground, I want to take the bevel all the way up to the spine to give it the best wedge shape possible for when it's cutting vegetables or whatever. So I'm going to mark where my plunge lines need to be all the way up to the spine with just my radar marker that I use for the, there you go. edge for the holy cow, center line. There we go. To start the bevels is what I'll be using. And like I said, I'm not going to be extremely cautious about it. I'm just going to take off as much material, make sure it tapers. I definitely don't want it to be, you know, super low way up here and then really thick way up there. Then, you know, it's pretty much just ruined it. Then I got to make the entire edge really thin, which probably wouldn't be too bad, but it's definitely not what I'm going for. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and rough these in, and I'll show you what it looks like after that process, and then from there we will go ahead and start the filing. And it's kind of just rambling on for the first 5 minutes of video. But anyway, I'll see y'all later, or here in a little bit, and I'll show you what it looks like when we get to the next step. Alright guys, we got it all roughed in. Got a little warm. You can see that blue tint. Definitely got it too hot. Have to do a pretty good heat treat and temper to compensate for that. But anyway, got the bevels roughed in. You can kind of see it's not quite 100% even, but we're going to go ahead and get on the jig right here. Get these plunge lines looking good, and then all the way out to the tip, go ahead and get the bevel drawn all the way back to the spine. So what I do is very simple. Take your file and set up, and line it in here. Try to be as straight as possible, and put it right on where you want your plunge line to be. And then once you have that, you can take your marker, pen, whatever you got. I got my pen right here, so I'll use it. And I might go back a little farther right there. Okay, that didn't work. I couldn't put enough pressure on there. Okay, let's try this. Get the marker. Do the same process, and then you'll mark out where your knife sits. So then you can go ahead and move things out of the way. Okay, that worked. Move things out of the way, and while you're clamping your knife up, if it starts to wobble around, you can kind of line it up and see exactly where your knife needs to be, you know, where it lines up perfectly. And then I use regular wood screws. I guess I can go ahead and take this off. Regular wood screws. Have a few of them over here. Got my box put up. Regular wood screws with obviously a screwdriver. And then I'll use this as a stop. Now, one thing I do is, and this I learned from Alex Steele, which he learned from ClickSpring, and those are both YouTube channels. And if you want to learn this, it's very simple. On one side of the file, I don't know if it'll show up on camera, but on one side of the file, I ground it flat to where all those teeth are gone. So when I go to start filing the plunge line and I'm hitting against the stop, it's not grinding into that stopping pin, or the stop screw, nor is it making my plunge line start going back towards the actual choil of the knife, and it stays even. It stays straight, looks good, and it doesn't start curving out. So that's what I do on my files, and so I'll file on this side up against the screw on this side of the knife, and I'll flip the side over, I'll flip it over, so I'm using both sides of the file and not just one side, and you know, tearing it up quicker. So I'll get this lined up, get it clamped down, C-clamp. I'm gonna get me some different clamps, something that's a little easier here soon. But for right now, this works just fine. Now, put the file in where I'd like it to be, and then I'll mark where I want to put my stopping screw. I'll just put it up here. Okay. Now, after I put the stop screw in, then I'll just go ahead and get started. And this is very simple if you make this type of filing jig. I guess what we could do is drill a pilot hole, make it that much simple. Very simple to do if you end up making this type of filing jig. It's very simple. Your file is guided, and so all you got to really do is, if you don't put a stop screw in, which you can do, I recommend if it's your first few times making one, then to go ahead and put a stop screw in. If you don't, then just pay attention to your plunge line, pay attention to how it's looking, if it's starting to go backwards. Because you definitely, if you want to make good high quality knives that look good, you know, there's definitely knives that you make really quick and you make a ton of mistakes on. They're just, you know, educational pieces. They're not pieces that you would intend on selling, or, you know, maybe not even intend on carrying, just making them really quick to see what kind of skills you have and see how much you can learn from making that particular knife. But if you're wanting to make high quality stuff, then, you know, definitely take more caution or be more tedious. You know, use your stop screws, stuff like that. Alright, so now I have this set in place. Then you just start filing. Now make sure not to press too hard right here, because if you do, for me personally, this rebar is not very thick. If you're using a thick piece of rod, you're fine. But this rebar it's not extremely flexible, but it flexes just enough to where it'll mess up your filing. And it doesn't take much to do so. So I just file up. And it'll quickly start the plunge line. Yeah, we're already getting a nice plunge line going. And this works really, I'm not going to say it works fast, but it works well if you got, you know, if you got a nice, good file, good new files. If you use the right technique, files only cut in one direction, don't go back and forth, you're going to tear your files up. If you have a brush, you know, keep your files clean, keep those big chunks of metal out of them so they're not really gouging up your knife. And you know, just be diligent about it. You can go back and forth as quick as you want. And then, you know, get that edge established, then you can move your eye bolt back and it'll start making that angle in which your bevel is going to be ground in much less steep, I guess. It's going to draw it back even more, making it nice, really nice and thin and sharp. And it'll also make your bevels really even, so that's always nice. And anyway, I'm going to go ahead and get to work on this. This is going to take a while, and I'll be coming in and out of the video, kind of showing how it looks and tips and tricks, stuff like that. And hopefully I'll be able to get both of these done tonight. And I'm only going to be able to be out here for about an hour and a half, but hopefully I'll be able to get it done tonight. So I'm going to go ahead and pause the video right now, start working. I'll show you what it looks like when we get to it. Alright guys, I'm going to bring you down. Oh man, I got that dust all over my face. I'm going to bring you down here with me. This is what the knife is looking like right now. This is just a small little bevel I've got started on. I got the plunge line looking pretty decent. If I can get that, I don't know if that'll show. But anyway, I got dust all over me. This would be a pretty decent bevel on, say, like maybe a bushcraft knife. Maybe if you took it up just a little bit more. But for this particular knife, I want to take it all the way to the spine. It does take some time, but it's very easy to do. All you do is you take this bolt and you either screw it down or you can move it back and then screw it down. It'll start slowly moving it back. It does take some time, but it is very possible. I got stuff all over my face. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and start moving the bolt back, start taking that bevel back now that I got the plunge line established. And Man, I'm going to clean my face off. Every time I look up, I see that. But anyway, one thing to pay attention to is your center line. You know, that's a little better. Is your center line. You always pay attention to your center line. You mark that so that way you know where to put your bevels at, and that way your bevels are even, especially on your plunge lines. It's very easy to go past that center line. Now, if you go past it, then you can file to the other side, and then you can just file against the actual edge to flatten it back out. But then, you know, that also makes your bevel go from, or your whole edge go from here to, you know, start shrinking down the width of your actual blade. So always pay attention to your center line. Always pay attention, you know, be as cautious, tedious in this process. And then once you start moving your bevel back, that's when you can, you know, it'll be a lot easier. It takes a little time, but it makes it a lot easier. So I'm gonna go ahead and put you guys back up on my little camera setup. That's really bright. And then I'll go ahead and come in and out of the video with either how it looks, tips and tricks, you know, whatever. So I'll see you guys here in a little bit. Alright guys, just about finished with this bevel. I'm going to go ahead and continue working on it. I'm not going to be able to get both of them done tonight. The next video on this knife will be the sanding and wet sanding process, getting it all finished up, getting the satin finish. And I think here soon I'm going to get me a gallon of ferric chloride, and I'm going to try and do a dark acid wash on these, and I might do a stone wash on them as well. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and finish this up, and the next video on this knife, like I said, will be the wet sanding process, getting it all finished up, making sure the handle's all sanded and everything looks good and feels clean, and then we can go and do the acid wash whenever I get that in, which I'll be doing on all these knives. So I will see y'all later. I hope everyone found value in this video. If you did, please like and subscribe and comment below what you liked about the video, what you didn't like about the video. If there's anything that I can do to make the videos better as far as the camera quality, how I do the video, the outline, or maybe just a different camera position, you know, just anything that can help me, I'd be very much appreciative of. So I hope everyone has a great night. Hope you have a great rest of the day, rest of the week, and we'll see y'all later. Love y'all. Bye.